It is that time of the month where I tell you which books I want to read in this month. It's March. I honestly, every time it gets to March, I feel like I get whiplash because February is just so quick. And it's even more daft this year because February was 29 days. Usual months have 30 or 31 days. The standard month has 30 or 31 days. So February has no right to have flown by in the way that it did, but I feel like I was just processing that it was February and now it's March. All this to say, beef with the month of February over, these are the books that I would like to read in March. So let's talk about them, shall we? This one I've just started. This is called Piglet. It's by Lottie Hazel. And okay, I actually saw this on Instagram, but under the dust jacket is like a hidden design. And I posted about it on my Instagram story and I was like, how cool that this has a hidden design. And then people were all replying to me saying, when you get a hardback book, isn't that the first thing you look for? And I was like, no, it isn't. Have I been missing out on this whole time? So now I feel like I just unlocked a whole new hobby that's like adjacent to my present hobbies, but I'm now going to spend probably the next hour or two going over all of my hardback books and seeing if they have something hidden beneath the dust jacket. I'm going to make some content about it. I wonder if there's anything on the back. Oh, there's not. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've had people talk about like the nakedness, but I think I assumed that this only referred to fantasy and sci-fi books. Like I know that a lot of the like fairy loot and special editions of books have something hidden on the naked book, but I didn't realize this was a thing that a lot of books actually had. So I now need to go over all of the books that I own. Obviously, I now must drop everything, all of the important things on my to-do list, and check if they have a secret hidden design. Anyways, this is Piglet. Piglet is a nickname that was given to her when she was younger, and she loves food, she loves cooking, she loves indulging. And she is engaged to be married. In fact, she's getting married very, very soon. The marriage is imminent, and she finds out the truth about her husband. He confesses, and we follow her in the build-up to her wedding as she decides whether to follow the recipe. You know, the food puns are flowing in this book. You know, whether to continue following that recipe book of what is expected of her to go ahead with the wedding, etc., or whether to follow her hunger for something else. So the book says, as the hours count down to their wedding, Piglet is torn between a growing appetite and the desire to follow the rules. Surely with her husband, she could be herself again. Wouldn't it be a waste for everything to curdle now? So I've only just started this book, but there are gorgeous descriptions of cooking and baking and making food and feeding people and sharing food, you know, having dinner parties, etc. So far, Le Crusoe cookware has been mentioned many, many times. I think that it's going to be relevant. I feel like there's a reason for that, but it has been mentioned like an absurd number of times that all of her cooking utensils are from Le Crusoe. But I think it's because it's also kind of a class study. She is from a less well-off background. Her parents are not very wealthy. Her siblings are asking her for money, and she is marrying into a family who have an abundance of wealth. And so I think that maybe the reason she keeps mentioning like Le Crusoe cooking utensils is because it is a sign of luxury. It's a sign of the window into this new life that she has. And I guess that adds to the stakes of like giving it all up. So I feel like this is going to be very soul-searching, like an exploration of forgiveness and what we are willing to endure in order to believe that we are loved. And I'm very, very fascinated to continue reading this, and I'm already eating it up, shall we say. Okay. Also, I love a donut, and this cover is just delicious. That is delightful, so big fan of that. Now, I feel like everyone is going to be talking about this book. I'm already seeing so much buzz on the internet from all of the normal people, fans. You know, the Sally Rooney stans are out in full force for this book, which is Green Dot by Madeline Gray. One of the best books you will read all year, says Elizabeth Day. I love Elizabeth Day. I trust anything she says. And Caitlin Moran says this is incredibly funny. Hera is in her mid-20s, which seems young to everyone except people in their mid-20s. Oh, that's so true. I already agree. Since leaving school, she has been trying to kick and scream into existence a life she cares about, but with little success so far. So far, I'm relating to absolutely everything. I think this might end up being a new favourite book. Until she meets Arthur. He works with her, he is older than her, he is also married. But in her soulless office, the large cold room she feels destined to spend her life in, he is a source of much needed sustenance. And though Hera has previously dated women, she soon falls headlong into a workplace romance that will quickly consume her life. Green Dot is a story about the terrible allure of wanting someone that promises nothing and the winding, torturous, often hilarious journey we take in deciding who we want to be. I want to read this entire thing right now. And I mean, since I said it, we should check. Okay, there's nothing. There's nothing underneath the dust jacket, but I feel like there is going to be everything on these pages. Everything that I want to read about. I feel like this is one for the Sally Rooney fans. I kind of hate it when people say that, but this just feels, it feels right with this one. Hilarious and sexy, but so wise about the human heart too. Everyone be talking about Green Dot. That kind of review is all I want. I want something that talks about, you know, love and relationships and sex and our communication or miscommunication with one another, but also has bigger things to say about the state of the human experience and the heart and the soul and what it is to be in your mid-20s. So I very much cannot wait to read this book. Now you know the drill by now. This series of books I want to read each month is very, very kindly brought to you by Squarespace. We love Squarespace. And the reason for that is because Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website or an online brand. And you don't need coding experience, you don't need to be a web development expert or pro. They have everything all in one place at your fingertips with hundreds of incredible templates which you can customize, make your own, and explore your creativity. There are also great features. For example, you can set up a blog to let people know what's going on behind the scenes, an email sign-up list so that that information reaches people's inboxes, and also there are great analytical tools so you can see what people are enjoying and therefore what you should make more of and spend your time in an efficient way. If all this sounds good, you can head to squarespace.com right now for a free trial. Have a little explore, have a play around and see how it works for you. And then when you're ready to launch your snazzy new website, you can by using the code JackInTheBooks at squarespace.com/JackInTheBooks. And with that code, you will get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And you're welcome. Thank you, Squarespace. We love you, Squarespace. And now, okay, these next two books I'm so excited to tell you about because it's Korean literature. You know how I feel about Korean literature. That whole shelf right there is full of Korean literature. I just love it, and I am actually going to be spending the month in Seoul. I'm actually going to be in South Korea for the entire month, working on a project which I'm very, very excited about, and I'm going to be taking these two books with me to read while I'm there. So this is the Penguin Book of Korean stories. Sorry, Korean short stories, I should say. You know, it's not a complete book of Korean stories, that would be insane. This is a bunch of short stories by Korean writers, and actually all the names are on the back here. Did you see? I nearly just knocked myself out with this book because this is heavy. This is a brick. I nearly dropped it on my face, and a blow to the head with this would actually be quite severe. So anyway, this is, yeah, from Penguin and features all of these different Korean writers, and actually I haven't read any of their work, which to me is the most exciting thing and is actually the reason that I jumped to buy this book, not only because it is visually stunning, like I'm sure we can agree I needed this in my collection, but also because I find that collections like this, anthology collections like this, are such a good way of discovering new writers who you don't already know. And so I was thrilled when I saw that Penguin were publishing this and clicked pre-order before I even had a thought. Like, no thoughts had even passed through my mind, and I was on autopilot just ordering it already. And it's here, and I can't wait to read it. So that is the Penguin Book of Korean Short Stories. Shall I read you some titles of the stories? I feel like that could be quite fun. Ooh, so it's actually divided up into sections. So the sections are Tradition, Peace and War, Into the New World, and Hell Choson. So some of the names of the stories that we have are When the Buckwheat Blooms, Mama and the Border, The Old Hatter, Pig on Grass, A Day in the Life of Kubo the Novelist, Spice Bush Blossoms, Needlework, Time for You and Me, Winter Outing, Land of Exile, Wings, Seoul Winter 1964, House on the Prairie, River Dark, The Poplar Tree, The Bone Thief, Home on the Range, The Black and White Photographer, and The Future of Silence. So I think all of these sound fascinating, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And then another Korean book that I picked up, this time a novel. This is a #1 bestseller in Korea, and I've been seeing it everywhere and I've been desperate to read it. It's finally happening. I mean, first of all, that cover is just so striking. Like, it's pretty unforgettable. This is The Dalaga Dream Department Store. It is by Mai Lee and translated by Sandy Jusun Lee. Sandy Jusun Lee translated another one of my favorite Korean books. I want to say it was Almond. Hold on, I'm gonna check. Oh, I was right. That was smart. Come on now, that was good memory. And I love the book Almond. So I also think that sometimes the translator is a good indication of whether you'll like the book, because the translator, of course, often chooses which books they translate. I know that my friend Anton talks a lot about how and why he chooses the books that he chooses to translate. And so if the same translator as Almond chose this one, then I'm excited to read it, because translators read so much literature in Korean to decide what they want to translate, what would be exciting for them to translate, and what they feel needs to be heard by an international audience. So anyways, this is The Dalaga Department Dream Store. Love that title, by the way. It's giving Tortured Poets Department. In a mysterious town that lies hidden in our collective subconscious, there's a quaint little store where all kinds of dreams are sold. Day and night, visitors both human and animal from all over the world shuffle in sleepily in their pajamas, lining up to purchase their latest adventure. Each floor in the department store sells a special kind of dream catered for each client. Meet Penny, an enthusiastic new hire, as she navigates the world within the famous Dalaga Dream Department Store, along with the other salespeople led by the flamboyant owner Dalaga himself. There is never a dull moment thanks to the curious, funny, and strange clientele that regularly visit the store, and follow along with Penny as she uncovers the workings of this wonderful, whimsical world. Okay, I think this is giving the same kind of like magical realism, fantasy elements as a book like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I like when there are fantastical kind of elements which just bring out the humanity in our characters by putting them in these interesting scenarios. So that sounds very exciting. And it says at the top, the dream you ordered is sold out. So I feel like there might be a little twist. And then the final book that I've got is one I've wanted to read for a really long time, and I finally got my hands on a copy. This is A Psalm for the Wild Built. Now I know this has been super, super popular on the internet. I've seen so many people talking about it, and I think it's about time that I finally read it. So, it's been centuries since the robots of Panga gained self-awareness and laid down their tools. Centuries since they wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again. Centuries since they faded into myth and urban legend. One day, the life of a tea monk is upended by the arrival of a robot, there to honour the old promises of checking in. The robot has one question: what do people need? But the answer to that question depends on who you ask and how. They're going to need to ask it a lot. Ooh, okay. Some of the reviews on the back are just beautiful. Sarah Guiley says, "This is a book that for one night made me stop asking, what am I even for? I'm prescribing a copy to anyone who has ever felt lost. This is stunning, kind, and necessary. Reading this book felt like a warm cup of tea made by someone who loves me." What a review! I think I need this in my life. I think I need the wholesome vibes. And so that is A Psalm for the Wild Built. And as you can see, the sun is kind of setting. That's like the last little corner of sun. But those are the books that I really want to read this month. And as always, I will let you know how I find them over on Instagram, on TikTok, I just said that. On Instagram and on Instagram. On Instagram, on TikTok, on Goodreads, on the Storygraph, on Threads, anywhere I have connection to, I will be posting. As always, so thank you so much for watching this video. Happy March, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Bye-bye!